The Saints lost a nail biter to the San Francisco 49ers, and dang it, man. I had that. Let's start that over. The Saints lost a nail biter to the San Francisco 49ers, 26-21. But it's the Saints quarterback that has our minds blown. Want to find out? Tune into another great episode on the Who Dat Weekly. Hit that intro. Alrighty, welcome to the Who Dat Weekly, featuring the Dirty Dev's finest, Christopher J. Spires. Welcome to the show, y'all. So today we're going to be mainly talking about the post-game with the stats and everything in front of my face this time, because yesterday I just did a very short, very hilarious version of my post-game reaction. If y'all haven't seen that, tune in, check out my channel, and you can find it from there. So, but today we're going to be talking about mainly the Saints stats and everything, talking about how the game went, etc. We're also going to cover a little college football here and there, some big games that were highlighted, in my opinion, that were worth mentioning, of course, including yours truly, the Ole Miss Rebs. So, if you're not an Ole Miss Rebel, I'm sorry to hear that. So, anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about this game. So, let me go ahead and switch screens real quick. If you give me 1 second, I got to find the right screen. There we go. All right. So as we saw, Saints lost a close one, 26-21, and yeah, it was a pretty close matchup from start to finish. And as y'all can see the stats, I'll go through in just a moment. In fact, before I really get into the stats, let's go and cover some college football scores. So I'm going to cover mainly the SEC. Yeah, in the SEC, Texas A&M took down Notre Dame and 41-40 in what was considered a great thriller, as y'all can see here. And then LSU, I'm sure for all you LSU fans would love this one. LSU took down Florida 20-10. Vanderbilt. Now, this is a shocker here. Vanderbilt, of all teams, took down South Carolina 31-7. That blew my mind. I couldn't believe that. And then where is the rest of the SEC? Does it even say it here? Oh, that's convenient. Great. So, but anyway, here we go. So, let's see here. Ole Miss, yes, that's right. Yours truly, Ole Miss had another fist fight with good old Arkansas, because, you know, Arkansas always give us problems, but we found a way to beat them once again, 41-35, making this the third time in Ole Miss history between Ole Miss and Arkansas that Ole Miss has a 3-game or more win streak against Arkansas. And the last time we had that happen was back in the 90s, and the last time before that was in the early 2000s. So that's saying a lot. Mississippi State won 63-0. Kentucky won against Eastern Michigan 48-23. Kentucky, excuse me, it's not showing here. Okay, but you probably already know this, but Georgia won also 44-41 in a very close fight against Tennessee in overtime. So that was we had some good matchups in that game. So yeah, so those are our college scores for today. Oh, what's up, Jerry? I see you there. How you doing? Who dat, baby? Yeah, so let's talk about the Saints game yesterday. The Saints, as we mentioned, lost 26-21 in a very disappointing fashion once again. They had us in the game for the entire, pretty much the entire game, really, and then we just kind of fell apart towards the end. Not in like the worst way possible, which was a good thing, but in the most inconvenient time, if that makes any sense. So the game started out with us getting the ball first in the first half, and the Niners deferred. So we got the ball in the first half, and the first drive we were driving really well. Like Spencer Rattler was pretty sharp with his throws. Alvin Kamara was running all over them, but But then as we got closer to their red zone, Rattler threw, I would say, a really good ball towards Chris Olave, and man, Chris Olave dropped at the wrong time. But didn't stop there. Blake Groupie, once again, in his only kick of this game, missed a field goal for the second game in a row that prevented us from scoring on first drive. Shortly after that, the Niners got the ball right after that, but they went 3 and out, so we were like, okay, this is good. After that, it was kind of like another 3 and out series back to back for the Saints, and then the Niners started they got 6 points in the first quarter, mainly from field goals. So the defense did their best to hold them down, but it was the second quarter that got really out of hand. So the second quarter, I think part of it thinks that the defense was just completely getting overwhelmed, and I don't know why we got overwhelmed. I'm about to talk about that in a minute, but he started to get overwhelmed and just feeling pooped out and everything, like they were on the field way too long because the offense just wasn't doing anything. So they allowed 10 more points in that second quarter to allow the Niners have a 16-7 lead at half. And where do we get the 7 points from? It was like late in the first half. Late in the first half, Spencer Rattler threw probably the most remarkable ball I've seen out of him yet towards Juwan Johnson, who had a few drops in this game. We'll cover that momentarily. But he threw a perfect ball to him, and he got the Saints' first touchdown of this game. So, and as the game went on, entering the second half, the Saints, I believe we punted on the first drive in the second half. And then allowing the Niners to get only 3 points. But then eventually the Saints offense started to find some kind of rhythm. I don't know what they did, but they found a rhythm. They started kicking into full gear. They started making really well-made drives, and this lasted all the way up until the last few minutes of the game. And there were a couple things that I wish had not happened, and especially one in particular I'm going to talk about in just a second, that I really feel like impacted how we were driving on offense. So, like, there was this one drive where it looked like we were about to strike against the 49ers, and part of this was Rattler's fault, but at the same time, part of this was also on Kamara's fault. But at the same time, I think the refs made a bad call. I think everybody knows where I'm going with this. So, Rattler made a pass to Kamara, and it was not the best pass because it was caught like right behind him. So Kamara was doing his best to kind of like keep it on him, but I don't think he really fully secured that football very well because by the time he was actually tackled, I don't think it got punched out, and I still don't think it was properly secured according to the refs because it looked like he was still kind of like trying to wrap it around put it towards his stomach instead of his back, but he never got around to it because it got punched out too fast. So yeah, that was the sucky part of everything. So but yeah, like with that, so after that they ruled it a fumble, which I still disagree with to this day, and that was kind of like a big turning point for us in particular, because it killed our momentum. It killed any chance of like really taking this lead away. We could have had basically we lost 10 points in this game due to that. I think maybe more than that. Who knows? So it was a shame. But it did not stop the Saints from scoring on their next drive after that. The offense did really well to the point to where they can drive down the field. They made another touchdown, made it close, and the defense made back-to-back stops, which was so important. Unfortunately, this is where the O-line kind of fell apart. The O-line did not protect Rattler at all towards those last two drives that we had. The last two drives we could have had that could have resulted in either taking the game away from the Niners or taking a lead, something. I don't know, but in the end, the O-line's got to be better than that. So overall, the Saints lost 26-21 in a very close fight with the San Francisco 49ers. And, yeah, so it was disappointing. And I would say, like, I'm going to start with some of the few negatives. So the big negative I still continue to see from this team is that the San Francisco 49, excuse me, the Saints continue to have stupid penalties left and right. Now, I will say this, out of fairness, they did correct a lot of their penalties in the next half. But in the first half alone, they had like 8 of them. And it was ridiculous. I was like, oh, here we go again, doing the stupid penalties over again. Like, I thought we had took the time this past week to make corrections with that. Like, well, what happened there? I don't know. Like, it was bad. Like 8 penalties that entire game. I don't know how many we had in total. In fact, let's take a look here real quick. How many do we get in total penalties? We only had 7 penalties. Okay, that's a little better than I thought. I thought I saw 8. Never mind. Okay, so yeah. So 7 penalties instead, excuse me. But still, and most of those were all in the first half, which was not good. And I did notice that the refs weren't calling a lot of penalties on the Niners. Now, the Niners had like 5, I believe, if I saw that correctly. And I think they missed a lot of holding calls, a lot of pass interference calls. Like, the Niners should have gotten more penalties than we did, but of course, it's the Niners. They're a California team. It seems like every California team gets away with everything. So I'm just saying, I don't want to start something controversial, but it's pretty obvious. Let's be honest here. but not complaining about the penalties, because really the penalties were killer in the first half. The second half, not so much. The Saints actually did a good job cleaning that up. So I was pretty satisfied with that for the most part. But still, it's the penalty thing is what killed us in the last game against the Cardinals and almost killed us in the game against the Niners. We have got to do better with the penalties. Now, if we get second halves like this past game where we had I think just won the rest of the game, I'm okay with that. That is perfectly fine. I love that. Keep that up. That's what we're looking for. But you can't start off with 7 to 8 penalties in one half. That's what causes teams to lose. Like, I can't emphasize that any further. So that was one big negative out of that. The second big negative, I would say, that happened in this game was the defense. Defense. Where the hell were y'all? Let's take a look at these stats here. So, now keep in mind, the Niners did not have Brock Purdy this week. They did not have George Kittle. Christian McCaffrey did play, but he wasn't like his full speed. But look at these stats, if y'all can see it on my end, or your end, that is. 26 out of 39, 279 yards, averaging 7.2 yards per pass, 3 touchdowns. Did take 3 sacks, so we were good in that department. But we gave him a 67 QB rating, had an overall rating of 113.1. That is bad, gang. That is bad. We literally made Mac Jones, of all people, look like a freaking superstar. Well, but it's not. So, the only really good thing the defense did well was covering the run. The run was actually well contained. So as y'all can see, Christian McCaffrey had 13 carries for 55 yards, only averaging 4.2, his longest being 10. And then Brian Robinson Jr. had the second most with 6 carries for 20 yards. So the run defense was actually solid. So there's that. But then you look down at the passing. Oh my God. This made me sick to my stomach. Juwan Jennings had 5 receptions for 89 yards, 17.8 average during this game. 1 touchdown, his longest being 42, which was a really big killer in the first half. That made me so mad. And then Ricky Parcell, 4 receptions, 56 yards, averaging 14 yards a carry. Come on, defense. Where the living hell were you guys? And in total, they allowed 279 yards passing. Now, of course, that same stat with the quarterback, but still, what was the defense doing? And again, I already mentioned it. The offense for the Saints had some issues trying to drive down the field because, one, penalties were a factor, and two, we did not capitalize on some of our drives. Like the first drive we had, we missed a field goal, and we also had missed a potential touchdown, so there was that. A few other times we got forced a 3 and out. So it's things like this. I'm just like, what are y'all doing, man? The defense. You were supposed to be the stronger part of this team. Instead, I really do think the offense looked better than you guys this week. So, but I can't really necessarily be blasting our defense too much because the defense did give us opportunities for us to take the game away from the Niners towards the end. So I will give them that much credit. But you cannot, for the life of us, if we have any chance of beating some of these better teams, because right now the Niners could be a really good team by the way they're playing, even without their best players available. Like, if we can come close to teams like them, we can definitely beat other teams, like say the Buffalo Bills, the Seattle Seahawks. I don't think we're playing Detroit this year. I have to double check the schedule, but at the same time, we can compete with these teams. We just gotta be better at playing defense on that side of things. Make sure we contain their best players. That's all I'm asking for. So yeah, it's like those things are not a complete total loss, but at the same time, we gotta be better at that. And then the third thing I really didn't like in this game was how our offensive line completely fell apart towards the end. And I'm about to give them praise too in a moment, but let me get through this part here. So the offensive line allowed, they didn't allow a whole lot of sacks. I believe they had like they had 3 whole sacks in this entire game, which is actually not bad considering we just went up against a really ferocious front 7 for the Niners. But at the same time, we have got to be better at solidifying the game, like giving our quarterback enough time, especially when we got to do a 2-minute drill kind of offense. And that was our last shot to like really drive them field, because all game long we were doing really well on offense for the most part, but at the same time we got to be better like protecting our quarterback. And I looked at the highlights, like rewatch some highlights and whatnot, and look at how the right side in particular is playing, because that's where Izaru is, who I was most concerned with. Once again, he was a suspect. And it wasn't just him. Fuega was also a suspect too. Now, Fuega, I would say, did better than Ruiz, but come on, man. You gotta play better. You gotta, like, protect your quarterback. Especially on the critical 4th down drive that we had. You gotta protect your quarterback, because how else are we gonna have a chance at this game if you not protect him? He got beat so bad. It made me so upset. So, yeah. With that being said, let me go ahead and get into the positives in this game. And there's a pretty couple big positives in this game. I have mentioned briefly during my little mini rant, if you want to call it that. So let's talk about the biggest positive out of them all is Spencer Rattler. Yes, Spencer Rattler actually had a very good day in terms of like passing the ball around, playing as a starting quarterback. I saw more growth in him this week than I did last week. Like last week wasn't great, but I saw that he did better than I anticipated. This week he took it up to a whole new level. Like he really did. Let's look at his stats real quick. So in this game alone, he had 25 for 34, pass for 207 yards, averaged 6.1 yards per pass, 3 whole touchdowns, no picks. Got sacked 3 times, just like Mac Jones did. Had a QBR of 57.5, which it's a little less than last week, but it's not terrible. But had 118.1 as an overall quarterback rating. That's the highest I've seen out of him yet. And it begs me to ask the question: is Rattler the answer to this team? Is Rattler the quarterback of the future for us? Now, it might be too soon to tell, given that it's only 2 games of this season. But if Rattler balls out like that, and it's not just him passing, I saw him actually use his legs. In fact, we can even look at the rushing stats. Spencer Rattler had 4 carries for 14 yards, average 3.5. Now, it doesn't look like a lot, but if you actually watch the game, he used his legs when it mattered most. There was this one drive in the first half where we got our first touchdown, where it was like 3rd and 6, and he was trying to pass, but he saw he had no one to pass to, so he decided to run. And it scared me to death because he ran right into a pair of linebackers from the Niners, and I saw that, and I thought, oh great, he's gonna be like 2-3 yards short. No, because the Niners. The Niners got stupid or something. They ran into each other, and they just completely whiffed on Rattler, and he was able to get the first down and got an extra couple yards after that. So it's like, that is what I was talking about in my game preview on Saturday. And that's what I want Rattler to do. If there is nothing available, run. Please, just run. So on top of that, and of course, I already mentioned Rattler balled out really well this game in terms of being a quarterback, passing as a quarterback, etc. He actually looked like a competent quarterback, and he has shown so much growth. I'm really excited to see what he has next against a really tough opponent, against the Seattle Seahawks coming up. And we're going to Seattle. That's going to be interesting to see how he does. So do I think that he will actually might make it through 6 games that I initially predicted him to do? He just might. If he plays like that, that's the key. If he continues to play like that for the rest of this season, I am almost certain he could be the solidified starter for this team for possibly long term. Now, it's too early to tell. We don't know how well he's going to do these next couple games, because these next couple games are going to be brutal. Like I already mentioned, we got the Seahawks coming up next, and at Seattle, I believe we'll go into the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo after that as well. So these next 2 games, I would love to see how he's going to do. And that's going to be fun to watch, because right now, the big fact alone was that he was able to take on a scary 49ers defense that has given everybody problems, and he was able to actually make them pay for it on multiple occasions. That is what I was looking for. So, the next big positive thing is the rushing. I mentioned this in my game preview, that if we could get the rushing on track, then we're going to be good to go. And I think they did just that for the most part. Alvin Kamara had 21 carries for 99 yards, and he averaged a 4.7 yards per carry. That's really good. We need more of that. Already mentioned Spencer Rattler. Y'all can see that for yourself. Kendry Miller, he didn't do a whole lot, but it didn't really matter because they could not stop Kamara except for that one BS fumble that he had. So it was really exciting to see him really, like, they actually utilize him correctly. And let me tell you, when you use Kamara correctly, you're gonna win games with him in a good way. And we could have won this game, but like I already mentioned how the game went and everything, so there's no need to repeat myself. So, but this was a nice bright spot. And the next bright spot, let's go to the receiving part real quick, is that I feel like we really spread the ball out much more evenly than we did last week. Now, granted, the receivers aren't out of my line of fire because they dropped a crap ton of passes this past game, and some of them from Juwan Johnson, some of them from Chris Olave, some of them from Rashid Shaheed, but they managed to make it count towards the end. So, like Chris Olave, he led the team in yards and reception, 6 for 54, averaged 9 yards per pass caught, that is. And then Rashid Shaheed, he did well. He had 4 receptions, 52 yards, averaged 13 per carry, and 1 touchdown. Juwan Johnson had 5 for 49, 9.8, and 1 touchdown as well. And then there was this one guy that I wish they had used last week that actually came into action, even though this was his literal only pass. Devon Bell was finally thrown in there. He had 1 reception, 3 yards, and a touchdown. See, this is what I'm talking about, gang. This is what I'm talking about. Use your best guys. Use your best guys, and you're going to win games. And I want to see Devon Bell more in action in the next game, because we finally used them more this, even though it was just a 1 yard reception for a touchdown. That's all that counts. You please utilize your receivers, but at the same time, receivers, you gotta catch your balls. You gotta catch those balls. You're not gonna win games if you're gonna constantly drop them. I don't know what it is. Now, granted, Rattler does need to fix some of his throws. Some of them were like from behind, like the one with Kamar supposedly fumbling, and then a few other times they were like from behind. You gotta fix that. That's the one thing you gotta do, Rattler. You gotta fix that. So that's on you. But at the same time, if it's a catchable ball, receivers, please, for the love of God, catch the ball. So, yeah. With that being said, today, so yeah, it was a good matchup, and let me tell you this, if I had to like give a complete takeaway from this game, I really do think this team has a lot, like it has a lot of fight in them, but we also need to find a way to finish games, and that's something we need to get better at. And I really do think that if we can like not only stop with the penalties, stop dropping balls, and also on top of that play better defense, we're gonna be a force to reckon with this season. Now, is it going to happen this season? I don't know for certain. This could be the same repeating story over and over again until we start getting more better players in the next draft or the next offseason. It just depends how. But what encourages me this year is that knowing that we have more fight than we did last season or the year before that. We look so much better than we anticipated. And I really can't say we are the worst team in the NFL anymore. Not by a chance. I mean, I didn't believe that in the first place, but for anyone around the league that think the Saints are absolute dog crap, you're wrong. You're just absolutely wrong. Like, we are much better than people give us credit for. I mean, we just gave the Niners a heart attack. We gave the Cardinals a heart attack. I don't know about the Cardinals. Like, the Cardinals might be a mixed bag. But if I guarantee, if we somehow beat Seattle in Seattle and maybe beat Buffalo or at least lose to Buffalo in a close game in Buffalo, you better not overlook us. That is the best thing I can say is you better not dare overlook us, because we're gonna give you hell. We're gonna give you all the hell in the world. We're gonna make sure you earn that win. We're not going down without a fight, and that's what I absolutely love about this team. So, with that being said, there's one player that I just noticed that will be out for the rest of the season, unfortunately. That is Verton Broughton, who we got in, I believe, the 3rd or 4th round in this draft. He was a defensive tackle from Texas, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season due to some kind of hip problem. I'm not exactly sure what that means, but it's a very unfortunate that he's going down. So, yeah. With that being said, it really does suck because it really does suck because he, like, I was really hoping for more out of him this year. I was really hoping that we actually get to see what he's made of this year, what he contributed to the team, but we're not going to get that anymore because he's out for the season. So that really sucks because now I haven't really noticed him a whole lot in this from preseason to now. So that's the unfortunate part. Is like he wasn't really that noticeable. But I would say that if this might give us more opportunity to see what other guys are made of in the making. So, yeah. So with that being said, most unfortunate that we lost this game, but there's a lot of positives that we can take away. And we still got a long season ahead of us. We still got 15 whole games, 16 whole weeks to go. So, like, we could still find a way to make ourselves in the playoffs. I still stand by that, by the way. I know we are 0-2. But guess what? The last time we were 0-2 was 2017. And look how that turned out. I'm just saying. We might find a way to just bounce back, get into the playoffs late, and just have like a late run of some sort. Y'all might call me nuts. Y'all might call me crazy. But I'm standing by what I said in my season prediction video. If you haven't seen that, go check out my channel and you can find it from there. But I still believe in this team. I still do. It's not going to be pretty. It's gonna be rough. We may have to go see our doctors more than once a week just to get our heart meds and everything. But but if it means that we're competitive enough, then sign me up. At least we'll have a very exciting bad season. So, in the end, we're going to be all right, gang. We're going to be all right. Because guess what? I just love talking about Saints football, no matter how good or bad we are. And guess what? It's a glorious day to be a Saints fan, because guess what? We're not Falcons fans. So, absolutely. So, I'm glad you guys could enjoy this video. If you guys haven't checked out my last video, go click on the description below, or tap on the icon at the end of this video. And I hope you get like and subscribe, y'all. Continue to share my podcast. Continue to share my content. We'll be doing this every week, and I'll be posting more content along the way. So, so quick announcement before I cut off the stream. I will be moving to a new place in my area. It's literally like 3 streets down. It's not that far. So if I am late with posting content, that is why, because I'm trying to get resettled and everything. So, and I hate the process of moving, so that kind of sucks. But here we are. So, yeah. So with that being said, thank y'all for tuning in. Have a great week, and we'll catch you guys on the next pregame video with the Seattle Seahawks. All right, gang, take care. Who dat, baby?